how do I get this through the directors? I've gone back to Bags, and Bags said, "Oh, what do you think?" I said, "Well, look, I think we should give it a go." So Bags said, "Okay, we'll give it a go, but it's got to be top secret. No one must know about it." So I said, "Okay, that's fair enough. Must be need to know only." So, but anyway, Harry wanted the GPRs, not the XU1s, because the accelerator linkage on the GPR was a lot easier to hook up to the V8. So I grabbed three GTRs out of the compound. One was pink, one was orange, which was my car, plus one was white. And I got them sent to Harry's, and so I got some 308, standard 308 powertrains off the assembly line, sent them over to Harry's, and we fitted them up. As I say, the orange car became my car, and we put bonnet pins on that, and Larry Perkins, who in those days was a mechanic at Harry's, he nicknamed my car the Lockwood Special, because I just went down to the hardware store and bought 2 big Lockwood padlocks, because my car lived in the plant. I was based in the plant at Fisherman's Bend, and we used to have guys who used to come and check the bloody oil and fill them up with petrol and wash them, and I thought, well, you know, we didn't want anybody to know. So cut a long story short, and Harry cobbled up this fuel tank. And for those of you who knew Harry, Harry was a terrific guy for his time, but he wasn't, how do I put this diplomatically? I mean, he's not with us anymore, but the tank looked like something out of Steptoe and Son, you know? And he filled up the whole boot of my car. I couldn't even fit the spare wheel. I had to take the spare wheel. It took it up with this bloody fuel tank he cobbled up, which obviously was never going to get through the production anyway. Anyway, that was my car. So, and the other 2 cars the boys were doing bits and pieces on with Fred James, and who was our engine engineer. Anyway, and as things would have it, we had got the program, contrary to popular belief, there was no XU2. The XU2 name had come up, and I was on the product committee of General Motors at the time. And as the product committee, we knocked back the name XU2 because we didn't want it to be too close to them. We wanted it to be an XU1 basically. And then Evan Green, there was a guy called Evan Green who was a journo in Sydney, had written a little story. Somehow he got wind of the program. He wrote a little story in the back part of the paper. And as it turned out, whatever the big story, there was some big story about Billy McMahon or something. I think he slept with Sonia that night or something. But anyway, that story fell over, so some editor saw this story about these big supercars, and he put it on the front page of the bloody paper in Sydney. And of course, then they rang the transport minister in the government, who had a seizure. And it all came, the papers, if you remember, had R.I.P. Tirana, supercars doing 300 mile an hour, going to kill every young person in Australia. And of course this Morris, I think his name was, Mr. Morris, he ran our managing director. Now at the time, I hope none of you are related to him, we had an Australian managing director who was called Bill Gibbs. At the time, we'd had heaps of American managing directors, but politically the government insisted we had an Australian. We looked around for an eminent Australian, and they found the guy who was the chief something of the railways, and his claim to fame was, I remember a photo in the Melbourne Herald waving a train off or something, a red rattle, a train off. That was, and he really, his whole philosophy was, we build white station wagons. That's it. We don't want to know about it. We're the family company. And I thought, oh Jesus, this is lovely. Anyway, of course, as soon as this minister rang the managing director, he grabbed himself. He said, kill it, kill it. So he's gone to Bagshaw, who was the director. He said, kill the program. And Bags came to me, kill it. So I've gone to Harry, said, right, program's dead. Bring the cars back, and I took everything back to Lang Lang. The cars went back to Lang Lang, the 2 cars, because one had been stolen. In the meantime, my car, the orange car had been stolen. The other 2 cars went back to Lang Lang with the order to be put through the crash barrier test and destroyed. Because obviously they weren't ADR'd. We put V8s in them illegally. You're a policeman, aren't you? We had the one from the Victoria Police Motorsports Club. They were the only ones that knew about it because we obviously didn't change engine numbers, we didn't do anything. And the cars went back and the program was good. Now, I gotta say, and I kind of don't comment on it, as far as I was concerned, the cars went back to Lang Lang and were put through the barrier test. That was the order that I had signed. Now, what happened to those cars, I don't know, because once the cars went back there, I moved on, and then the program got a V8 in the SLR 5000, so it really became a non-issue. But I gotta say, I was with General Motors for over 40 years, and that was one day I thought I was sacked, because everybody, all the anti-motorsport half of the company, all pointed at me like I was a dog dropping, walking around the factory, said, he caused it all, he caused it all. So, you know, really, it was a pity because it would have been a great car. We had got some good times out of it, and these guys would have loved it, but just destroyed it.
Well, thank you both. I'd like to ask you one last question.
Any word on the stolen one?
Do you know what? It is still stolen. And I think it was insured by the RACV or something. And apparently it's still on their stolen list.
Perfect.
No, I wish it was. Unfortunately, I never know it.
Okay, so I'll just thank these gentlemen for coming here and asking.